So it is my great honor to be with Francoise Baylis, who gave a presentation earlier today about the ethical aspects of germline editing. Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
So tell us a little bit about your talk.
Well, one of the very first things I tried to do in the talk is to distinguish between germline genome editing and heritable genome editing, and trying to make a distinction between the germline being that which happens in the lab, so when you're modifying our reproductive cells and tissues, so our sperm, eggs, early embryos, but also then the precursor cells to our gametes, and trying to draw a distinction between that and what I think of as heritable genome editing, which is when you take those cells that have been modified and you actually put them into a woman in the hope of actually having a child that would benefit or not, depending on how you think about it, of having a modified genome.
Interesting. And so then you apply the ethical principles that exist, or medical ethical principles, to both of these scenarios?
Well, I'm actually trying to think about it differently, so I don't want to actually just, as a cookie cutter kind of exercise, apply some of the principles that people are already committed to, but I'm actually trying to encourage people to think about this differently. And so in fact what I did do is articulate the content of the findings from the 2015 International Summit on Human Gene Editing. And in that context we said at the end of this meeting that if we ever were to go forward with what is heritable human genome editing, so taking those genetically modified embryos and putting them into a woman in order to have a child, that what would be absolutely important is to have safety and efficacy standards satisfied, and also to have broad societal consensus. And so with the safety and efficacy, it's pretty straightforward. You don't want to hurt people, so you want something that's safe, and you don't want to sell them a bill of goods, so you want something that's going to be effective. And beyond that, then the idea of broad societal consensus is that decision-making around what kinds of changes we should or shouldn't make to the human genome are too important to be left to scientists alone. So I'm trying to encourage a lot of people to participate in that conversation.
Do you think there's enough awareness about ethical aspects in our field from the people in the field, from the scientists and the physicians?
Well, so I think of my project really as encouraging ethics literacy. So I think we have an understanding today that many people need to improve their science literacy, and we talk about that, what people do or don't understand about very complicated science. And I think that's important as well. But I actually think that in addition to talking about science literacy, we really need to talk about ethics literacy, because we need people to have more tools that they can bring to bear once they understand the science. So if you understand the science, what is it that you need to know about the ethics so that you can weigh that science up helpfully?
Wonderful. Fascinating stuff. Well, thank you so much for coming to talk to us about your talk.
Great.
And have a great rest of the meeting.
I will. Thank you very much.
Thank you.